Tonight, Minnesota Unsolved looks at a...
It is often called a Minnesota mystery. Throughout the years, much has been made about the mystique.
Oral histories and engaging local tribal communities.
Something terrifying has been unearthed in Minnesota, rewriting everything we thought we knew. Ancient Ice Age fossils, petrified plants, and a woolly mammoth skeleton have surfaced from deep underground. Scientists are piecing together a shocking story of life, death, and survival from millions of years ago. Let us dive into these mysteries and uncover the secrets that could change history forever. Caves, crystals, and ancient fires. The glacier lake bed was recently uncovered in northern Minnesota. This ancient lake was not just any ordinary patch of water, it dated back to the Ice Age. Think about glaciers, massive blocks of ice carving and shaping the land, leaving behind secrets trapped in layers of sediment. When geologists dug into the area, they found fossils from fish, amphibians, and plants, all preserved like snapshots frozen in time. The details were so fine you could still see patterns on fish scales and the delicate veins of ancient leaves. All of this hints at a time when the region was lush and alive, nothing like the cold landscapes of today. What they uncovered next beneath the sediment could rewrite Earth's history. What makes this find special is not just the fossils, but what they mean.
And so those two things going hand in hand created a really horrific.
The fossils tell us how plants and animals survived and adapted to massive climate changes back when the Earth's weather shifted dramatically. These preserved pieces give scientists new ways to study our changing world by looking at how life managed back then. Not far from this ancient lake bed, another major discovery stunned researchers: the skeleton of a woolly mammoth. Imagine standing in front of a towering creature with massive tusks and strong limbs, an Ice Age giant that once roamed freely across the land. The bones were in such good shape that researchers could even spot tool marks. These marks might mean humans interacted with the mammoth, whether they hunted it, scavenged its remains, or even used its parts for rituals. Each mark brings up questions about how humans and mammoths shared this frozen world. The area where the mammoth was found adds to a bigger picture. Minnesota seems to have been a crossroads for large Ice Age animals like mammoths and bison. The wide open spaces shaped by glaciers were ideal for these creatures to roam, but the big mystery is whether humans and these animals lived side by side peacefully, or if humans were a part of their extinction story. The answers are buried in these ancient bones. Moving underground, hidden caverns in southern Minnesota are revealing yet another layer of history. These caves, formed by slow-moving water and shifting earth, hold intricate formations of crystals, flowstones, and stalactites.
So these are, you don't find these in Minnesota. Usually they're just, the person is buried in the ground.
But it is not just the rocks that are fascinating. Deep within the caves, archaeologists found stone tools and remains of fire pits, signs that humans once used these dark spaces. Were they hiding from the cold, gathering to eat, or creating sacred spaces? The charcoal from these fires is being tested to figure out when humans were there and what their lives might have been like. The caves also have rare minerals that do not usually form in the region. Finding manganese oxides and gypsum crystals points to unique conditions underground. These formations are like a natural timeline, showing how the Earth's surface changed over millions of years. For scientists, these caves are not just an adventure, they are an archive of both nature's and humanity's past. Under Minnesota's surface, scientists have also discovered ancient riverbeds. These rivers once flowed through what are now farmlands and cities, carrying life and nutrients in a long-gone ecosystem. Using advanced technology, researchers traced the winding paths of these rivers, uncovering fossils of aquatic creatures that swam there millions of years ago. The sediment layers even showed the force of glaciers, floods, and other geological events shaping the land. One of the most intriguing finds was amber, that golden, hardened tree resin often called nature's time capsule. Tiny insects, pollen, and plant material are perfectly preserved inside these amber pieces, offering a close-up look at the forest that once stood here. Beetles, gnats, and ancient conifer pollen hint at dense, vibrant woods teeming with life. The details in the amber are so well preserved that researchers can study the cellular structure of ancient plants and insects. Each piece of amber tells a story of an ancient ecosystem full of interconnections and adaptations to the climate of the time. Across Minnesota's prairies, mysterious stone alignments have baffled archaeologists. These formations, lines, circles, and other shapes made from carefully placed stones, appear to have been constructed by ancient cultures. Some think they might have been used to track the sun and stars, acting as calendars for solstices or equinoxes. Others suggest they had spiritual purposes, marking sacred spaces or guiding seasonal migrations. How ancient people managed to move such heavy stones and place them so precisely remains a puzzle. These alignments also look a lot like structures found in other parts of the world, raising big questions about whether early societies shared ideas across vast distances. Even more surprising is a newly discovered underground lake in northeastern Minnesota. This hidden body of water is home to strange microbial life never seen before.
People that want to believe that are determined to believe it.
These tiny organisms survive in conditions that mimic what might be found on other planets, making the lake an important site for astrobiologists. Studying these microbes might help scientists understand how life could exist in extreme environments elsewhere in the universe. In southwestern Minnesota, researchers uncovered ancient petroglyphs carved into sandstone. These symbols and drawings made by indigenous people depict animals, celestial patterns, and abstract designs. Another major find came in the form of meteorite fragments scattered in a remote part of the state. These pieces, filled with rare metals, suggest a cosmic event that reshaped the area's surface long ago. Each fragment is like a puzzle piece from outer space, giving researchers a chance to study how extraterrestrial impacts might have influenced Earth's geology and ecosystems. Paleontologists also uncovered fossilized forests with tree trunks and root systems preserved in sediment. These remains, dating back hundreds of millions of years, challenge old theories about Minnesota's ecological history. They show a time when the area was covered by dense forests, far removed from the farmland and cities of today. The fossilized wood holds clues to how trees adapted to ancient climates, giving insights into the resilience of life. Central Minnesota offered up a treasure trove of prehistoric artifacts, from stone tools to pottery fragments. These items reveal how the region's earliest humans lived, hunted, and celebrated. Every tool or shard of pottery adds to the picture of a society that thrived long before modern times, highlighting their ingenuity and deep connection to the land. As discoveries continue to emerge, geologists and archaeologists have turned to advanced technology to uncover more secrets. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed the paths of long-lost rivers and ancient underground formations. These tools allow researchers to map areas without disturbing the surface, preserving these fragile sites for further study. One such technological breakthrough led to the discovery of ancient burial mounds in central Minnesota. These mounds, constructed by indigenous peoples thousands of years ago, are believed to contain remains and ceremonial items. Their placement and construction suggest a sophisticated understanding of engineering and astronomy. By studying these mounds, researchers hope to learn more about the spiritual practices and social structures of the communities that built them. Another extraordinary find involves fossilized coral reefs discovered in what is now a dry inland region of Minnesota. These ancient reefs date back to a time when the area was submerged under a shallow sea.
Artifacts, the structures that humans created.
The corals, along with fossilized shells and marine life, offer a glimpse into an oceanic world that existed millions of years ago. These reefs are not only scientifically significant but also visually stunning, with intricate patterns preserved in the fossilized remains. In northern Minnesota, scientists have unearthed remnants of an ancient volcanic system. Layers of volcanic rock and ash reveal a time when the region was geologically active, with lava flows shaping the land. These discoveries provide valuable information about the Earth's early history and the forces that shaped the planet's surface. By analyzing these rocks, researchers can better understand the tectonic movements and eruptions that occurred millions of years ago. Recently, a series of rare Ice Age plant fossils was found preserved in peat bogs. These plants, frozen in time, provide a detailed record of the flora that thrived during the last Ice Age. Their preservation is so remarkable that scientists can study the microscopic structures of leaves and stems, gaining insights into how these plants adapted to the harsh, icy conditions of the time. Minnesota's past also includes evidence of massive floods that reshaped the landscape. These floods, caused by melting glaciers, carved out valleys and deposited huge amounts of sediment. The evidence of these events is preserved in the layers of soil and rock, offering clues to the powerful forces that once dominated the region. Perhaps one of the most intriguing discoveries is a collection of ancient ceremonial masks found in an archaeological dig near a riverbed. These masks, made from carved stone and decorated with intricate patterns, are believed to have been used in rituals by early inhabitants of the region. Their design and craftsmanship provide a glimpse into the cultural and artistic achievements of these ancient communities. The land of Minnesota holds clues to a larger story beyond time and place, from the Parthenon to Hadrian's Wall. Earth's story stretches back over 4.5 billion years. It has seen dinosaurs roaming around, continents reshuffling their layouts, and civilizations rising and collapsing like waves. The remnants of these old civilizations are scattered everywhere. Let's rewind and take a closer look at what these places might have been like when they were alive with people. Perched nearly 8,000 feet high in Peru's Urubamba River Valley, the remains of Machu Picchu are legendary. When American explorer Hiram Bingham stumbled upon it in the early 1900s, it was hard to believe it had once been a citadel. The Incas had abandoned the site centuries earlier, likely after a smallpox outbreak, leaving the place to be swallowed by nature. Trees dug their roots through stone walls, vines wrapped everything up tight, and it took months of careful clearing to even reveal what lay underneath.
Much of archaeology is looking at the details of the land.
Back in the 15th century, the place was buzzing with life. Stone homes with thatched roofs filled the space, and there were farming terraces, sacred areas, and even royal quarters for their leader. Somehow, the Inca managed to build all this without cement, and it has held up surprisingly well against the mountain's brutal weather. Maybe today's builders could learn a thing or two. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, a bronze statue like no other stood in the city of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes, a towering tribute to the sun god Helios, measured over 100 feet tall, a real showstopper. It did not last long, though. An earthquake shattered it after just 54 years. Even as ruins, it was a hit with visitors for centuries, until raiders showed up with hundreds of camels to cart it off for scrap. Despite what people say about it straddling the harbor, that is just a medieval exaggeration. To be proportionally accurate, it would have needed to be taller than modern skyscrapers, which was not happening. Still, its story sticks around as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Over in Italy, Mount Vesuvius earned its place in history books by unleashing its wrath on Pompeii in the year 79. The ash buried the city, freezing time and preserving nearly everything, from streets to frescoes. When archaeologists uncovered it 1,700 years later, they found an ancient city almost intact. Streets, homes, and even snack stands were recognizable. But before disaster struck, Pompeii was lively, with amphitheaters, temples, and a complex water system. Some buildings had already been damaged by earlier earthquakes, but the eruption finished the job, leaving behind a haunting snapshot of a moment frozen in time. Farther north in England, Hadrian's Wall stretched 73 miles across the countryside, built by the Romans in the 2nd century. It was not made of ice like the fictional wall in Game of Thrones, but it was just as impressive for its time. Almost 20 feet tall in places, it was fortified with forts and watchtowers. When the Romans left, the wall was gradually picked apart by locals for building materials. Now only fragments remain, but it still tells a story of a once mighty frontier. In Rome itself, Emperor Nero's palace, the Domus Aurea, was a monument to excess. Sprawling over nearly half a square mile, the palace was dripping in gold and jewels, with an enormous revolving dining hall at its center. This was not just any dining room. The ceiling scattered petals and perfume while guests feasted. Water powered the rotation, a feat of engineering. Nero's successors were not fans of his over-the-top legacy and stripped the palace of its riches, even burying parts of it to build new structures. Today, parts of it remain, but it is a shadow of its former splendor.
through discarded materials.
The Parthenon in Athens started its life in the 5th century before the Common Era as a gleaming temple to Athena, with marble columns and vibrant friezes. A massive gold and ivory statue of the goddess stood inside. Over the centuries, it was repurposed as a church, then a mosque, and suffered damage from wars and looting. By the 19th century, it had lost much of its decoration, with some pieces carted off to London. Even so, it remains a striking symbol of ancient Greece, even in its worn state. Civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind wonders to uncover. The rise and fall of Teotihuacan. Across the Atlantic in Mexico, the ancient city of Chichen Itza stands as a testament to Mayan ingenuity. El Castillo, its iconic pyramid, rises nearly 80 feet high with 91 steps on each of its 4 sides, aligning perfectly with the solar year. Rituals held at its peak were steeped in mysticism, with sacrifices made to appease the gods. Over time, the jungle reclaimed the city, and it was not until the early 20th century that archaeologists brought it back into the light. The temple's design and alignment with celestial events still captivate visitors today. In Guatemala, the ruins of Tikal hide within the rainforest. Once a powerhouse of Mayan civilization, its grand temples and carved masks tell stories of a vibrant culture. Temple 2, built for a Mayan queen, rises over 100 feet above the forest. Its bright red paint and intricate carvings have mostly faded, but the structures still hold echoes of the past. The dense jungle makes visiting feel like stepping back in time, with ancient pathways and towering pyramids waiting to be rediscovered. Finally, the Rathcrogan Mound in Ireland is a simpler yet no less mysterious sight. What looks like an ordinary hill was once a grand ceremonial center for Celtic pagans. Archaeologists have detected wooden structures and hinges, but their exact purpose remains unclear. Rituals, prophecies, and offerings likely took place here, making it a sacred space in its heyday. Let us move to the Giza Plateau in Egypt, where the Great Pyramid of Giza stands as the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Built over 4,500 years ago, it was originally smooth and gleaming white, thanks to polished limestone casing stones. At its peak, the pyramid would have dazzled in the sun, with a gold capstone at the very top. Constructing such a massive structure required immense labor and ingenuity. Workers quarried huge blocks of limestone and granite, ferried them across the Nile River, and hauled them up ramps to assemble the pyramid layer by layer. Despite its weathered appearance today, the pyramid's scale and precision remain a marvel.
You show me someone who thinks it's real, I can show you someone who thinks it's not.
In Iraq, 22 miles southeast of Baghdad, a lone archway rises from the ruins of Ctesiphon. Known as Tak Kasra, this massive arch is all that remains of what was once a grand Persian palace. Built in the 2nd century before the Common Era, Ctesiphon was a jewel of the Persian Empire. Its palace was adorned with marble, glass mosaics, and lavish carpets. Over the centuries, the city endured repeated attacks, from Roman invaders to Muslim Arab forces. Each assault chipped away at its grandeur. Eventually, the city was abandoned, and much of its stone was repurposed for nearby Baghdad. The arch, however, stood resilient, a testament to the city's storied past. In the heart of Rome, the Colosseum once echoed with the roars of crowds watching gladiators battle to the death. Completed in the year 80, this massive amphitheater could hold up to 87,000 spectators. Its grand arches and tiered seating accommodated people of all social classes, from emperors in the front rows to slaves and women in the uppermost seats. Over the centuries, the Colosseum suffered from neglect, earthquakes, and looting. Today, only about 1/3 of the original structure remains, but its grandeur is undeniable. It stands as a monument to Roman engineering and the spectacle of ancient entertainment. Moving to Central America, the city of Teotihuacan in present-day Mexico was a thriving metropolis over 2,000 years ago. Its Pyramid of the Sun, rising 200 feet, was the heart of this ancient city. The pyramid's construction involved meticulously stacked volcanic rock and a stucco coating that likely shone brightly under the sun. Surrounding the pyramid were residential complexes, marketplaces, and ceremonial plazas. The city's influence stretched far, and its mysterious origins and eventual decline continue to intrigue historians and archaeologists. In Cambodia, the temple complex of Angkor Wat stands as a pinnacle of Khmer architecture. Built in the 12th century, it was originally a Hindu temple dedicated to Vishnu before being converted to a Buddhist site. The sprawling complex features intricate carvings depicting epic tales and religious narratives. Surrounded by a moat and connected by causeways, Angkor Wat's grandeur reflects the wealth and power of the Khmer Empire. Despite centuries of tropical weather and human activity, the site remains remarkably well preserved, drawing visitors from around the world. Lastly, in the Andean highlands of Bolivia lies Tiwanaku, an ancient city that predates the Inca Empire. Its most iconic structure, the Gate of the Sun, is a massive stone arch adorned with intricate carvings. The city's advanced engineering and agricultural practices allowed it to thrive in a challenging environment. Canals, terraces, and raised fields supported its population, while its monumental architecture demonstrated its cultural and spiritual significance. Although much of Tiwanaku's history remains shrouded in mystery, its legacy endures through its enduring stonework and cultural impact. Could this civilization have been influenced by forces beyond our understanding? Let us know your thoughts, like, comment, and subscribe.